Howdy guys and gals, I'm Kyle Broderick. Welcome to the Social Regressive and Wardrobe Wednesday, which is going to be a rare look at clothing. Anybody that knows me knows that clothing and I have a bit of antipathy going on. I'd be a nudist if it wasn't for other nudists, and the fact that there's winter. What we're going to take a look at today are boots. These two boots take care of everything that I need throughout the year. We're going to have a cold weather pair over here with a little bit of insulation, and then over here we have warm weather boots. I live in Oklahoma where temperatures are not stable. They can actually drop 50 degrees in 1 hour. We call that a blue norther coming down from Canada. It just kind of sweeps over the plain, and yeah, it can drop everything pretty drastically and very quickly. But for the most part, you know, we do have a very large spread of temperature differences. We have up into, you know, the 100 degrees plus Fahrenheit during summer, and that can hover up there for a good long while. And then on the cold side, we're definitely a little colder than Texas at least, so you know, we can get down definitely below freezing for certain periods. We all lose our minds when it gets down to about 0 or negative, those very rare occasions. But these two boots are going to take care of everything that I need in that range. So we're going to take a close look at both of these. Let's start with the summer boot. This is the Tru-Spec Side Zip boot. I'll annotate the actual name, model, and I'll put a link down in the description below to where you can actually buy these. These have proven to be excellent over the year that I've been testing them. You can see that they do have a bit of wear on them. I have taken them out in all kinds of conditions, and I've been very shocked at their performance. I'm used to Tru-Spec working very well, but these actually performed a bit better than advertised. These right here, you can see that they have a very chunky grip to them. You can see that there are big notches through here for walking on mud, sand, all kinds of things. You're going to be able to get plenty of traction. One of the things that I've been very unhappy about with certain boots that I've gotten is I'll have maybe a hiking boot that fits really, really well. It has great traction, so it seems, in the dry, and then when the going gets wet, for some reason, whatever material that these are made out of will slip on wet rocks. And then some of these will perform very well in those conditions. And I just have to kind of find out after the fact which boots are which. And these are definitely ones that grip very well. Whatever this material is, it seems to grip excellently on all surfaces. I've taken these out hunting, I've taken them out hiking. And yeah, so far I have yet to find a surface that it does not like. I prefer a boot that fits mostly like a sneaker. I want it to be able to snug down around my foot pretty tightly so that I don't get a lot of movement and pick up a lot of blisters that way. And I like it to have just a certain amount of rigidity in here and a certain amount of flexibility. Who knows how you can quantify that, but yeah, this is definitely hitting that sweet spot that I like. This has an EVA midsole running through here for comfort, so you get a little bit of squish when you're stepping down. It's not like you're walking directly on rocks or whatever. There is a shank running through here as well. I'm not sure what that shank is made of, but it provides just that little extra bit of support. So when you're especially dealing with heavy weight or whatever, this boot is not going to be really floppy like a lot of the sneakers that you have. It's going to provide a bit more support and rigidity throughout the whole structure, but then it also has enough flexibility that, again, it's not like you're walking around with a big thick piece of rubber strapped to your foot. This is very comfortable, and yeah, that EVA midsole does provide that little bit of squish. The fast lace system that you see right here seems to do a pretty good job of holding whatever tension you want on various parts of your foot. A lot of the time I like to put a little bit of extra tension at various points in order to get that best fit. For example, I like to usually put a little bit extra right here so that it kind of pulls my foot down and pulls my heel down into the bottom here so I don't get a lot of play. And maybe I loosen things up a little bit here, maybe loosen things up a little bit here, and these laces do seem to stay put pretty well. And once you do get this locked down the way that you want it, then all you have to do is just use the side zip in the future. And this zipper seems to be very well built. I've been testing these boots for about a year now. I've never had this YKK zipper come off the rails or anything. Even when I'm tugging on this pretty good, it seems to stay put very well. I've been extremely pleased with that. And then to protect the zipper when it's in its uppermost position, you do have this little Velcro tab you can pull across here. It's going to help support the zipper, maybe keep it from bursting under extreme loads or whatever, and it's also going to kind of protect this and keep it from knocking around so it doesn't make any noise. Very, very well thought out. So that just pops off with Velcro. On the inside, we have a pretty interesting kind of mesh material here on the inside. It seems to breathe very well. It's going to wick away the moisture. That's what we're all looking for. And it's going to dry very quickly if you do get these wet. Down at the bottom, you can see the inner sole right there. And it provides that just little bit of extra comfort down there. And these do pop out quite easily if you need to dry them or swap them over to something else. Now the boot overall, I would say compared to some of the other ones that I've had in the past, some of my hikers, or these Redheads over here. These are a little bit vacuous on the inside, especially around the toes right here. You can see that I have these pulled in pretty tightly right now. These are just about maxed out, not quite, but there is quite a bit of wiggle room if I'm using a thinner sock like this one. And that's going to be good, I guess, for keeping things dry, but this is one where there's a little bit too much play if I want to be able to backpack or whatever, so I might choose a bit of a thicker sock like these. I believe these are Redheads right here. These are wool. I think these are a merino wool blend, and these have worked out really well with these. It just kind of fills up that interior a little bit and keeps my toes from moving around too much. If you have a kind of a larger foot, a little puffier foot, I think these boots are going to do really well for you. If you have maybe a slimmer foot, you might want to go for a little bit thicker sock. One facet of these boots that surprised me is their waterproofness. This boot is not even listed as being waterproof at all, yet it seems to do a very good job of deflecting water, like say if you have a lot of dew on the grass. Sometimes boots, even like this one, will be very susceptible to that kind of direct splashing water on the fabric, and it'll still make it through. They seem to do a very good job of deflecting water, even like through kind of low puddles. I was expecting water to just rush into these and rush out like you want from a good summer boot, or at least I do. In general, if it's warm here in Oklahoma, I don't want to be wandering around in a waterproof boot. It's going to feel terrible. It's like a little spa inside the shoe. It's like a hot tub in there. It just gets hot and moist, and it just feels terrible. I want one that water can go in, go out. But these, despite that, you know, it does get water out of there really well, but it also seems to prevent water from coming in. Again, that's not something that they're advertising on this boot, but it seems to work out anyway. Even here in the zipper area, where you get just this little kind of flap right here, this little gusset. I'm not exactly sure what you would call this, but yeah, it seems like water doesn't really want to get into this boot all that much, and I've been very pleasantly surprised with it. As you might expect from a duty boot, these come in tan and black, and I opted for the tan for a couple different reasons. First off, this is going to be a very nice camouflage, whether I'm in the plains or out in the sand or out in the woods. These are going to blend in really well, and I won't have to worry about black boots sticking out from under camouflage everything else. And then also we're going to get a lot of light reflected off of these instead of absorbed. Out here in Oklahoma, we have a lot of direct blistering sunlight, and the feet can get very uncomfortable. So yeah, tan was definitely the best choice. I've been very pleased with how these perform when it gets really warm out in summer. Now let's move over to the winter boot. These are the Redhead Voyager 2. So these are boots that you're going to be able to find at your local Bass Pro Shop. And of course you can order online. I'll put links down below. I believe the Voyager 2 is still being made. We'll have to check on that. If not, they're going to have a model that's very, very similar to this. And speaking of similar models, you're going to find a bunch at Bass Pro that look a lot like the boot that I'm showing you right here. They're going to have kind of a full toe cap. They're going to have some kind of waterproof material, and these are really designed for hunting. However, there are some differences between some of the different models. I originally bought a more expensive pair that had a true Gore-Tex liner in here, and they had kind of a terrible problem with the inside right here. The material that you see right down in here is a nice kind of slick material, so that the sock is going to slide against this if there's any play, any kind of movement, and it's not going to transfer that heat into your foot and make blisters. The Gore-Tex model, on the other hand, and I can't remember the name of it, it had a material right here that would grab the sock almost like Velcro, and then your sock would basically tear the skin off your foot. It was awful. I had them for about a year. I returned them. Thankfully, Bass Pro is pretty good about returns, and they gave me my money back. Pretty nice. And I got these instead, and I have been very happy with them ever since. I've had these for about 4 or 5 years now. I think this is actually going on my 5th year. And these have performed really well in all kinds of situations. Of course, these are going to be great for your cold weather. These are designed for hunting, so they have 600 grams of Thinsulate inside here. That's going to be quite nice when you're sitting out in the cold. This is not the thickest Thinsulate that you can get for many of their models. They have a 1200 gram, I believe. That's going to be better if you have to sit still for long periods of time in a tree stand. And these are going to be more of a compromise. These will feel better when you're taking a long hike out to your deer or dragging that deer back. And then maybe not quite so insulated when it comes time to just sit and let the cold kind of creep in. But these are ones that I've actually taken out on some pretty long hikes, even in warmer weather, and they have performed very well. The waterproofing material, like I said, it's not Gore-Tex. This is their kind of house brand Bone Dry. And whatever material they found, it seems to do a very good job. Yes, maybe it's not as breathable as Gore-Tex. This is going to hold in some of that moisture that your own foot develops as you're hiking around. So it can get a little bit kind of steamy on the inside, and you have to watch for blisters that way. But the boot itself, it does breathe, and it wants to, just by its very fit, it wants to prevent any kind of foot damage. It's just built overall for extreme comfort. They did a great job with this. It fits my own foot very well. So let's take a look at some of the other bits here. We do have the grip here at the bottom. This seems to be a very durable and very grippy rubber. You can see that we have large channels here that are going to perform really well in mud. I've taken these through mud, through deep water, cold water, warm, all kinds of things. I've had these on sand, and in every situation, this has performed just flawlessly. It's just wonderful. Back here at the back, there used to be more material. It was almost like these kind of feelers on the back that when you would step down, you would get this little bit of extra squish, so that if you're walking through the woods, you don't get a big thunk when you step down on a rock or a log or anything like that. This would really kind of roll the heel very nicely and just press down neatly into the grass to keep your step both smooth and quiet. It's comfortable on the foot, comfortable on the ears, and it's not going to spook your game quite so much. And you can see that we still have all kinds of mud in here from some past excursions. Back here on the back, this is wearing off. You can see that it's kind of peeling out. But like I say, after 4 and going on 5 years now, you really can't expect better performance than this. These are doing really, really well. For comfort, you have an EVA midsole running right through here. This does provide quite a lot of comfort. And again, this strikes a good balance between the flexibility that you want just for overall comfort when walking long distances and providing that extra bit of rigidity. There must be some kind of shank running through here that's a bit more rigid than the Tru-Spec. And this is one that I've taken out on some very long hikes, backpacking trips, and I've been very, very pleased with it. With all this proven performance in mind, I heartily recommend either of these boots separately, or if you want that whole year system, yeah, these will work out really well in concert. And maybe as we get to the end of the life cycle for these, I can provide a little bit more information out there. If you are interested in the Redhead boots, the Voyager 2, go check out the Bass Pro catalog, go to the website. I believe that these are still being sold. Bass Pro is a little bit slower to cycle out older models and bring in the new ones. I know that a lot of the time with like the sneakers, maybe Nike and Adidas or whatever, you finally find a shoe that you like, it has a good fit, and then by the time they've worn out, they've gone ahead and just thrown out everything, and you can't find anywhere like that shoe anymore. But I think the Voyager 2 is still for sale. If not, they're going to have one with a very similar construction, and it's probably going to have a very similar feel. Make sure that you subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. We're going to have new videos coming out in Wardrobe Wednesday to discuss pants. We're going to talk about shirts. We're going to talk about hats, some that I found to be very durable, very comfortable, very functional, especially out in the field, and some of them that I just wear around everywhere just because they're kind of awesome. Thanks to patrons of the Destructive Arts for continuing to keep the lights on around here and keep our project rifles coming. Thank you, patrons of the Destructive Arts, especially thank you, Sportsman's Guide at the 338 Lapua Magnum level and Peter at the 300 Win Mag level. I'm going to see all you guys around. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Even if you didn't like this particular content, go ahead and subscribe. There's probably something coming that's more up your alley. Check out this playlist right here. This is going to have videos in a similar vein to what you just watched. These two videos we cherry-picked for you. And finally, The Social Regressive is on Patreon. So you can become a patron of the Destructive Arts and earn some goodies while helping us to provide high-quality videos just by kicking us a few bucks a month. Thanks a bunch for your patronage.